Goats doing goat shit. As I said in the intro, this is a segment of the Spun Today podcast where I like to highlight goats, greatest of all time, doing something dope, doing something above and beyond that they otherwise didn't need to do. This episode's prestigious honor goes to none other than hitmaker, producer, Timbaland. I recently saw an excerpt of an interview that The Source reposted from the Finding Hit Songs Instagram with a songwriter producer by the name of Ryan Teeter. And he was speaking to back in 2007 when the song It's Too Late to Apologize came out. One Republic, Timbaland. How Timbaland produced the remix to that song. And obviously it was a big, huge mega hit. But Ryan Teeter is the one that actually wrote it. He was a songwriter as well as a producer. And he breaks down in this clip that I'll play for you guys in a bit, how when it came time to the publishing rights, the lawyers or the representatives of each artist figure out and fine tune the details of that, of who's going to get what. He felt that, Timbaland being the big name and largely the one that popularized the shit out of the song, that he would just take, it would be, status quo essentially, for him to take the majority of the publishing rights. Now, before I tell you guys what Timbaland wound up doing, I wanted to highlight what the publishing rights are and what they mean, specific to within the music publishing, which is similar when it comes to writing and what I speak about often in terms of like writing books or screenplays. And I'm sure this translates to other creative arenas as well, but specifically to the music publishing rights, this refers to the ownership and control of a song's intellectual property, the IP, including its melody, lyrics, and harmonies. And this right, this ownership right of the, again, intellectual property, the IP, the thing that was created, it encompasses the rights to reproduce, distribute, perform, and adapt the work. So whoever owns that IP, if like a commercial for Budweiser comes and says, hey, I want to use part of that One Republic song, who do I have to pay to get that right? Whoever owns that, the publishing, the intellectual property, is the person that gets the money from that. And there's two main categories when it comes to music, which is master rights. That you always hear like rappers and like Jay-Z famously, I own my own masters, and other rappers as well, and just songwriters in general. But I see it highlighted more within hip hop of owning your masters. That's one category, one of the two main categories. And that portion of it deals with the rights related to the recorded version of the song, including the production, the mixing, and the mastering of the song. Like the recorded version that you hear, that's the master rights or ownership of that. The publishing rights specifically, which are also known as composition rights, are owned by the songwriters and or the publishers. And these rights are the songwriters of the actual lyrics, the composition, the songwriters of the actual melody, the harmonies, the songwriters of the music itself, aka the producers, the production of it. And when you create something in a collaborative form, like, music mainly is, you have people that come up with the beats, with melodies, with the hook, with the lyrics, or multiple people that come up with the lyrics, that write together or in concert. Then according to the work that different folks put into something, that translates into their percentage of publishing rights and master rights, etc. So if Timbaland, for example, works with a producer that's, green and doesn't, know the industry really, or, he's just like getting his foot in the door and, he comes up with a dope beat, then Timbaland kind of like oversees it and maybe makes a little tweak or two, but the person that actually came up with it is, that new guy. Very often you hear like stories like this throughout the music industry that new artists winds up getting fucked on like the rights. The big name usually just takes the rights and, puts their stamp on it and yeah, I created this. And, kind of pays the person like a one-time fee, but then the big name owns the publishing rights, the intellectual property. So they wind up making money off of that forever. which is why, again, I highlight always, in my opinion, again, to each their own, but in my opinion, own your intellectual property. You never know what new revenue streams that may not even exist right now will come into play in the future. And if you own the intellectual property of whatever it is you create, whether it's a short story, a novel, a song, you'll be able to have a seat at that table and be able to sell your work on a different platform in the future. But if you take, the short money, the short bag, even if it's big, but short term, and just hand over your rights, hand over your publishing, hand over your masters, then whoever purchased that from you, they'll make money on that forever, which is the long money. But again, I digress. So going back to why I'm awarding Timbaland with the GOATs Doing GOAT Shit honor here on the Spun Today podcast is because Ryan Tedder himself, knowing and recognizing his position, hierarchical position within the music industry, he was like, Timbaland's the big name. So when I got the call about the publishing rights, I was like, he's going to take like half or like 60, 70% of it because, he's Timbaland. He's like the big name. And he was like, and I would have been happy with that. But he said that Timbaland told him, or his folks representing him told him that Timbaland isn't taking any of the publishing. So Ryan was kind of like taken aback. And he was like, that according to Timbaland, he was like, that he didn't write the song, so he didn't deserve to take the publishing. That Ryan wrote the song and told him, like, from a practical perspective, you need the money more than I do. I'm already Timbaland. I'm already a millionaire. I'm already this, like, established guy in the industry. This is going to put you on. And Ryan said that lack of greed from Timbaland and him being able to retain the publishing rights of the song that he wrote, that he created, allowed Ryan to be able to buy a house. So there you see like the actual impact of what something like that can do. And here's the actual clip that I'll play for you guys.
It just went to him. Like, people thought it was his song. And the truth of the matter is, he when they called me about the publishing splits, I was just grimacing. I was ready to just be like, I'm gonna get creamed on this. They're gonna take half the song or more. And the manager calls and goes, Tim doesn't want to take any publishing, buddy. Wow. He's not gonna touch it. He's like, it's your song. You wrote it. And you played him that song like 2 years ago. Like, he's not trying to take food off your table. He produced the remix. You wrote the song. Like, so he's not taking any publishing. I just want to put that out there for everybody watching. That's Timbaland. He could have taken 2/3 of the publishing if he wanted to. He had all the leverage in the world. And he said, I didn't write the song. I'm not taking any publishing. And it was that clean. And he let me keep 100% of that record. And that changed my life. And he said, he's like, you need it more than I do. It's like, so, I'll give Tim props to the rest of my life for that, because that was a life changer for me. That's how I bought a house.
How dope is that? Shout out to Timbaland. Absolute round of applause. Welcome to the Spun Today GOATs Doing GOAT Shit family.